This is Katsudo Shashin. Here it is again if you missed it. And here it is again on loop if you missed it again. That's it. It's cute, it's awesome, and it's over in the time it takes to summarize it. A happy little boy in a sailor suit takes off his cap. There, see? It finished like 2 or 3 times before I could get that out. Well, if you're watching this, you've likely tried to look up the first anime. In that case, you may have been led to Katsudo Shashin, this animation of the sailor boy tipping his hat. Or you may have hit upon Namakura Gatana, the animation of the samurai getting what's coming to him for attacking innocent people. Well, which out of these two is the first anime, if either? Today, I'm going to try and set the record straight for you and look at why some consider Katsudo Shashin the first anime. Katsudo Shashin is almost certainly the oldest Japanese animation on film. It's sometimes known as the Matsumoto fragment because Natsuki Matsumoto was the one who discovered it. Matsumoto discovered the film when a dealer brought a box of early 20th century film and magic lantern equipment to him. Matsumoto was quite shocked when he saw the little sailor boy wagging his hat at him. Due to the age of the rest of the film and the lantern equipment in the box, Matsumoto recognized the importance of Katsudo Shashin. He soon issued a statement that it was 10 years older than the earliest known anime. The earliest known anime at the time was created in 1917, putting Matsumoto's guesstimation at 1907 or so. Some place Katsudo Shashin a few years later than that, and some place it a few years earlier. But what could a few years matter, really? Well, in this case, quite a bit. The first known animated cartoon ever is commonly held to be Emile Cole's Phantasmagoria, released in 1905. If Katsudo Shashin happened to be created a minute earlier than Cole's film, it could place the birthplace of all animation in the land of hentai, maid cafes, and all things moe. As interesting as that would be, most experts hold that Katsudo Shashin isn't quite as old as Phantasmagoria. So just what is Katsudo Shashin? Katsudo Shashin consists of a series of 50 frames of 35mm film, the exact amount of frames necessary to make it loop in an early 20th century projector. We know that the common speed of projectors at that time was 16 frames per second, which, if you do the math, makes the entire loop clock in at a whopping 3.33333333 seconds. But how was Katsudo Shashin made? Was it drawn? Painted? Well, as it happens, the images were stenciled onto the film in red and black ink. If you look closely, you can see that the red and black don't quite match up. The red was likely stenciled first and then the black. This means that the image isn't a series of drawn images like most traditional animation. The device used to stamp the images was likely a press used to stamp magic lantern slides. For those of you unfamiliar with magic lanterns, where have you been? Seriously though, magic lanterns have been around for centuries, and we're far from magical by our standards today. A magic lantern is basically a slide projector, like the kind people used to show their boring travel photos on. That isn't to say that magical things weren't done with magic lanterns. Some of the slides had moving parts, allowing the slides to appear to move, something along the lines of those children books with the pull tabs in them. These magic lanterns were a premier form of entertainment for the 250 years leading up to modern film industry, and were even used by charlatans to project ghosts onto smoke in the days of spiritualism. Hence the phrase, "It's all smoke and mirrors." So, what does all that have to do with the first anime ever? The device that printed Katsudo Shashin was magic lantern technology. That little sailor boy could have just as easily been stamped onto a glass slide used in a magic lantern. Some believe that if we accept Katsudo Shashin as the first anime, we open the floodgate to accepting Magic Lantern animation as anime, which would put the first anime back possibly 100 years or so prior. That might also make the first anime look less like this and more like this. In addition, when people think of anime, they think of film. And while Katsudo Shashin is definitely printed onto film, it doesn't quite feel like a film, now does it? When people think of films, they generally expect a film to have some form of plot, a set of characters, a basic storyline, and other entertaining knickknacks. They also generally expect it not to be over in the time it takes a person to sneeze. On all those grounds, Katsudo Shashin fails as being anime. Katsudo Shashin makes for a great GIF, but it just doesn't work as entertainment unless you're really easily amused. Oh look, he took the cap off. Oh wow, he did it again. That darn sailor, he just did it again, and again. How riveting. Also, Katsudo Shashin's ties to the Magic Lantern industry put it on the threshold between anime and Magic Lanterns. It feels more like the kind of thing you'd see in a zoetrope. You know, one of those neat 19th century devices that works kind of like a rotating flip book. Like Katsudo Shashin, zoetropes had a limited amount of frames and would generally show a single action, like a dance, or a horse run cycle, or a boy removing a hat. On those grounds, Katsudo Shashin simply has more in common with the pre-film industry than anime as we know it. So far, we've talked mostly about how Katsudo Shashin doesn't qualify as anime, but in doing so, we're overlooking the fundamental reason why so many consider Katsudo Shashin to be the first anime. What is anime? Think about it for a few seconds. There's more than one answer, but many people will at least define anime with the bare-bones definition of animation created in Japan. It can be further modified, but most anime fans will agree that anime is essentially just Japanese animation. And Katsudo Shashin is the oldest known animation on film produced in Japan. For that reason, Katsudo Shashin may very well be the oldest anime ever. What do you think? I'm interested to know what you think the first anime is, so tell me in the comments below. Is it Namakura Gitana? Is it Katsudo Shashin? Or is it some other anime? Well, that's pretty much it for today's episode. Hope to see you all later.